In today's video, we're going to look at Altcoin Market Cap to better understand the question of alt season. Is it cancelled? When could we start to see a reversal? But first, we have to understand what's going on in terms of this retracement. How does it compare to previous ones? And what is exactly going on with Altcoin Market Cap and the valuations of altcoins before they can start to reverse towards the upside. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward, and let's dive right into it. But before we dive in, a quick message from our sponsor. Our sponsor for today's episode is MEX, and MEX is a no KYC exchange that offers the most trending tokens, everyday airdrops, extremely low fees, and comprehensive liquidity. MEX is the home to over 3,000 tokens listed, which is the highest among all other CEXs, and the best thing is a lot of the new and high potential projects live there exclusively. MEX also offers comprehensive liquidity to ensure smooth and seamless trading and low fees, which are close to zero for spot and futures trading, and you can participate in a wide variety of special events as well as receive everyday airdrop rewards by only holding 25 MX. And to celebrate our partnership, we're running a very special welcome offer. When you sign up using my link, you can get a 20% deposit bonus of up to 500 USDT tether. But hurry, the clock is ticking and this is a limited time offer, so make the most of it while it lasts. Sign up to MEX using my link in the description down below and get your 20% deposit bonus today. Thank you very much, MEX, for sponsoring this episode. Let's dive right into it, because when it comes to this altcoin market cap chart, we were talking about this back in early December, whereby historically altcoin market cap tends to simply reject from the $425 billion region, and that was a really clear message that there was going to be a point of rejection here. But the entire point of that rejection was all about demonstrating how much weaker would $425 billion be as a point of rejection to lead into a shallower pullback. And here we are today. We've seen a 50% pullback, and by standards of history, whenever we've reclaimed or at least rejected from the $425 billion region, we'd experience very deep retraces, 85% right over here and 69% over here. And if you want to actually be really accurate in terms of the $425 billion region, still very deep retracement, probably in the deep 70s, but I'm just measuring from this swing to the bottom of this swing. So 70% pullbacks, 85% pullbacks have happened in the past, and this current pullback is a 50% rejection, and this is supposed to be a shallower pullback than these ones, because historically speaking, we have seen picture perfect rejections from here, but overextensions are the norm beyond that region. This is the ultimate FOMO buyer who FOMOs into the market, and we've seen a strong pullback right over here. So this doesn't mean that we're going to get a shallow pullback. It means we're going to get a shallower pullback based on what we've seen in the past, and at the moment, so far, so good in that respect. But when it comes to Bitcoin dominance is also a really valuable indicator in preceding altcoin valuation changes. And back here in early December, we were also talking about how over the past few years, Bitcoin dominance dropped to such RSI levels, low RSI levels, oversold regions only 3 times before, and each time preceded a Bitcoin dominance reversal towards the upside. This was also a pretty clear signal that we were extending when it comes to alt season of that time, and we've since seen an increase not only in the RSI obviously, but that was essentially the Bitcoin dominance bottom. We've seen an increase in Bitcoin dominance of 6% since that time, which obviously has enabled Bitcoin season and continuation in the macro uptrend for Bitcoin dominance. So it is Bitcoin season, and so there is no room for altcoin valuations to soar. In fact, we're seeing altcoin valuations really decline and Bitcoin becoming a bit more dominant in the market. And this altcoin season that we saw in December, this was actually a fake breakdown from the technical uptrend line that we saw develop for the first time in mid-2023. So it's a long-term macro technical uptrend line, and it's also a confluence support with the macro range low of 57%, roughly speaking, which is the bottom of this overall macro range for Bitcoin dominance. And so now that we've built a base here at the macro range low, we're going to try and revisit 71% over time. This is going to take a while, but we have to also understand that any dips and pullbacks that we see in terms of Bitcoin dominance, we're going to enable altcoin windows. And so it's going to be very interesting, seeing as we're at the beginning of February. How will a potential pullback in the next few weeks play into the altcoin hype cycles? Because historically speaking, we tend to see strong February upside across time for Bitcoin's price action. The average is 14% across time, but I think it's really important to look at the bull market years where we tend to peak in the bull market. 2013 producing 61% upside, 23% upside in the February of 2017. 2021 saw 36% upside in that bull market peaking year. And in 2025, we're seeing minus 4% downside at the moment. But historically speaking, February tends to be a decent month, average upside of 14%. And as we spoke about in the bull market peaking years, we tend to see double-digit upside. So there's still a lot of time left for Bitcoin to reverse and print a green month for February, not to mention potential double upside potential as well. But we also need to understand how is this going to fit in terms of the altcoin hype cycle here. Because when it comes to quarters, we're currently in Q1, and near the end of a quarter, we tend to see altcoin valuations soar. And Q1 as well as Q4 tend to be the most frequently recurring altcoin hype cycles. Q2 sometimes plays out perfectly as per this graphic. Q3 a little bit less so. Q1 and Q4 tend to play out perfectly, and we saw that take place also in Q4 of 2024, as we spoke about the altcoin market cap, the Bitcoin dominance. This was near the end of that quarter, which makes entire sense when it comes to the highest hype and as a result, the highest valuations. And at the same time, the point of maximum financial risk for buying altcoins near the end of that quarter. Of course, now that we're in Q1 here, we're depleting in the valuations, we're depleting in the hype, and in fact we are in the period of lowest hype and at the same time the point of maximum financial opportunity as a result, as Bitcoin as well as altcoins continue to see a bit of shedding in their valuations. But we're going to be seeing a basing period at some point. Maybe even that basing period is slowly starting to build right now before we can progress and transition into the next market-wide uptrend for altcoin valuations and Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin is scheduled to break out in the next 2 weeks or so into its second price discovery uptrend, and so altcoins are going to follow through on their valuations as a result of that, as per this graphic. So we should be seeing an increase from lowest hype transitioning into highest hype by the end of March. Beginning April should be probably the end of that. And then we're going to see the cycle repeat again, where highest hype and maximum point of financial risk, highest valuations, we'll start to see a sell-off for that process to essentially repeat itself before the Q2 hype cycle. So we only have a few more hype cycles left before we finally peak in this bull market. But we need to talk about how Altcoin Market Cap could start to actually reverse from here. Because when it comes to this structure right over here, we broke out to these highs, we pulled back for a midterm retest of this macro wedging structure. I never thought that we'd actually manage to retest this, but lo and behold, we're here. We're now currently in this range, and what we need to look out for is this weekly close and pulling back in the downside wick of $315 billion, which is this red level here. So we're going to have to see a weekly close and retest of this region, because that's going to enable trend continuation. And it wasn't just in this cycle right over here that we saw that sort of trend continuation confirmation. We saw that also right over here as well, in terms of the upside that we get back to 425 billion. And what's interesting about Altcoin Market Cap is that it is finding this base right over here. It's going to try and reclaim this region in the future, and reclaim that. It's going to expand to $425 billion once again. And so this rejection that we're seeing of 51%, it's shallower than what we've seen in the past. And if we revisit 425 billion again, maybe we get a pullback once again, but it's going to be a much shallower pullback compared to 51%. And then we should be able to break 425 billion altogether to finally go to new all-time highs and discover those new valuation highs for altcoin market cap as a whole, because in every cycle we've actually broken that final major resistance and rallied into new all-time highs and beyond. That's simply been the case in every cycle, and it looks like altcoin market cap is setting itself up for new all-time highs in this cycle as well. So if history repeats, that's exactly what lays ahead, and these altcoin hype cycles are going to play a really important role in timing those increases in altcoin valuations. And so seeing as January is over here, April is over here, then February, late February is where we should be seeing these basing periods, and we'll see those valuations start to soar once again, which will enable altcoin valuations to climb once again as well. So it's important to look at Bitcoin dominance here. Even though it is in a macro uptrend, we are seeing pulling back right now, and we have seen red months, and these red candles right over here in Bitcoin dominance are the candles that we want to look out for when it comes to altcoin valuations, because whenever Bitcoin dominance drops, altcoin valuations soar. So at which point can we start to expect that Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to drop in terms of a pullback before actually reversing into its macro uptrend? So one of those potential levels could be the 60% level here. If we experience a little bit more of a volatile retest going forward, we could see a bit more downside take place. But it would be interesting to see how these changes in Bitcoin dominance actually tie in with the altcoin hype cycle, with the late February time post for the altcoin hype cycles, and it'll be interesting to see how Bitcoin dominance ties into that, as well as the altcoin market cap starting to incline as well. So subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.